Founder of Primal Sensors, Jerry King.
Thank you much. This story is a little bit different from most of the presentations you will see. What am I hitting? That one? Yeah. So currently, Primal Sensors is proactive location awareness for large commercial construction projects. Like Mark Cuban says, don't follow your passion, follow the efforts of your passion. My passion is mud runs. I like the mud, I like the blood, barbed wire, 35-degree weather, glutton for punishment. So that's where we started. Ran a 15-mile obstacle course race with 5 of my friends, got separated, and all of a sudden I'm at the finish line, raining hypothermia, and that was not a great experience. So I'm wondering, where the heck are my friends? How the heck do I even find them afterwards? So we came up with the idea of having a location tracking platform that would allow the race operators to let spectators, as well as the racers, to actually find their friends and locate them from their phones using hardware that they already are trying to implement. So we came up with this, Primal Sensors. This gives you the current location of all your racers on the course. Now, this was a fun little beginning of this, and this actually translated into other things like amusement parks, ski resorts, and all this was focused on group management. You go to these sort of operations and experiences to enjoy that with a group of your choosing, but if you get separated, you're no longer spending money, and you're also no longer having fun. So we did this for a while, tried pushing that, found out, one, amusement parks don't necessarily have money, events don't necessarily have money, and they don't necessarily take new technology that's not from a fully vetted technology company. So we were running into problems, but as is Dallas, there are a lot of headquarters here, and we found that construction companies really, really like our tech, specifically because they like safety. They like to know where the multi-million-dollar purchase order of goods and prefab materials that just came to their work site are. So they came to us and said, hey, Jerry, can you use this for our construction site? And as a good salesman, I said, of course we can. So we started checking out the market and found there are a couple of problems. In commercial construction throughout the United States, in the single year, $750 billion in materials are misplaced, not lost or stolen, but misplaced. They come to the site, get put in a corner, get covered by dirt, and all of a sudden they're gone. Somebody has to actually pay to replace that. That eats into about 10% of their profits. And yes, some of that is built in, but who the heck wants to build in profit loss into their purchase orders and bids for these projects? One of the biggest things it comes down to is, how do you operate your construction project? Well, you try and do it as efficiently as possible within the time constraints, but they do know that they lose $56,000 an hour if they are unproductive on that project site. So we did a market pivot, got out of amusements and recreation, and followed the efforts of my passion into construction. And we had already created the technology for it. So from a non-technical founder, my standpoint was, hey, we just took that tech and moved it over to this market. It was focused on having location awareness for thousands of assets on large areas of land in these projects. This allowed us to eliminate the loss of those assets, cut the time to find those resources, as well as create sustainable efficiencies in their operation using location data. Now, I found a really, really smart guy to build this, and he said, hey, let's use long-range radio frequency technology. It's scalable, it's cost-effective, and it's something that's not been used right now, and hey, guess what? It's also patentable. So we have a patent pending on this system itself. It is autonomous, so you don't need to scan any barcode or a RFID tag. Automatically updates the location of your assets and workers in a programmable frequency interval. It's also searchable. So who owns it? What's it called? What's its name? What's its ID? We use it for things like location awareness, but the project site movement transparency. Where is everything going? Where has it been? But also confirmation of deliveries for things on site. Did that purchase order come in? Yes. Where is it now? Proactive team management, but also worker attendance and work zones. Being able to say, your subcontractors billed us for 10 hours, shows that you guys were only here for 6. What's up? So we allow them, just by having a simple location and an autonomous location tracking system, to actually have these transparencies. So that's Primal Sensors. Questions, please.
I thought for sure you were going to be able to bet on people as they run around the, and you can track them around the.
Yeah, it was a couple of things, a couple of fun things with that.
So this is a lot like what Tile does, but on a much more industrial scale. So the question is, when you have all this hardware tagged and it gets buried somewhere, does the battery on the device run out? What do you do then?
So originally we had created, again, for the event industry to be rechargeable. That battery life was somewhere, we had it about 30 days, which of course is overkill. But we found in the construction industry, these guys basically need something that's disposable, as well as something that can basically be run over by a tank. We then redesigned, or I'm just going to say, my co-founder, Andrew Davis, one of the smartest guys in this room, be able to talk tech all the time for you. That man right there. He redesigned this, and we did all the prototyping in-house. We redesigned this to have to basically be disposable. 6.5 years, one of these tags will last, which is, again, overkill, but it is always nice to have that extra battery life.
So 2 questions, really. One, have you explored the small and medium-sized warehouse where it can be
Yes.
applicable?
Distribution centers, warehousing, all of that. Anything industrial, port authorities, container ships. The amusement stuff's always still kind of fun, but it is more of the industrial side.
And what about
stuff.
the cost? What's your cost?
So we strictly stick with construction. We work this on a service model. We actually give them the hardware and the infrastructure, and they pay for data access. So the frontline value propositions are: you can find your stuff. You will have an automated system that will update the location. They are paying for the value of having that data later to be able to use in analytics, metrics, which we do not do. We are a tool. We gather the information, we process the information, and we push that back out to whatever essentially blueprint software they would like to use, and they can then use that for the rest of it later. Yes, sir.
What is the approximate size of the tags, the tolerance of error, and does it measure the z-axis?
Okay, so yes, it goes X and Y, so a flat surface, it will go acres and miles of terrain. So we got a mile of connectivity with the beacons itself. So we set up a beacon mesh network, and then those will connect a mile apart. The tags themselves, these are about a little bit bigger than a quarter. These will connect about half a mile. What were the other questions? If you have a beacon a mile apart, it's about 40 feet. But the more beacons you add, the closer it'll get. We can get down to around 8 feet. And when you're looking for a pallet of goods or something the size of a refrigerator, then that is close enough. With more development right now, it is on X and Y, so we're covering the large area. But we do have requests from the construction industry to be able to do that, so that'll be a further development. But it is possible.
How about attaching the sensors to material in a hazardous area?
To my knowledge, and I'm told
Weather
this,
conditions, et cetera, et cetera.
so we don't do anything with hazardous material, just certifications.
I mean, like moving it around, forklifts, coming off, weather, rain, outdoors.
Basically, however you want. Magnets, duct tape, zip tie. These actually will fit into some of the generic hard hats. There's actually a clip there. So there's any way you can attach it to it is basically how that works. There's no special way.
So I spent the better part of the last decade building power plants.
Cool.
And so bulk material is the hard part, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much tagged equipment. You always know where that is.
Mm-hmm.
And so is it affordable enough for you to replace RFIDs, because that's essentially the standard for bulk material tracking, i.e. steel, pipe, and I guess what you said is you give them the hardware and you're selling the platform. So from that perspective, is it just kind of, can you tell when something is in laydown versus when it's erected, so you can use it for progress tracking? And then on top of that, sorry, let me just stop because I'm asking a lot of questions. I'm really interested. We should talk afterwards, but I guess my key question is, can you tell when it's in laydown versus when it's
Yes, there
erected?
there are workflows that you can do with this that would allow you to say, okay, it's here and now it's complete. Yes. Yes, but you have to work with a supplier on that.
Well done.